So on January 20th, the Biden administration unleashed a humanitarian and national security debacle like we haven't seen in a long, long time. And it all traces back to January 20th. With the end of Remain in Mexico, sending a very clear message across the world that anybody that wants to come to the United States can come to the United States, and we basically have a borderless United States at this point, in particular on the southern border. The reason I went down to Panama, I had went to the Rio Grande in early April, saw what was happening there. The Border Patrol said, you really should look deeper than this, where many of these people are coming from. And I really got to thinking about that. And my staff said, hey, what do you think of taking a vacation down to Panama? I've always wanted to go to Panama on vacation. And took them up on it. And we were fortunate to get together with these folks to my left to be able to go down there and really see what's happening. And by the way, the gentleman interpreting over here on our far left, that's Carlos Getz. He's on my staff. And thank the Lord we had him down there in Panama. He was a very valuable member of our team, right, Michael?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, when you said you had a retired Marine officer, infantry, was Afghanistan veteran, I was like, we needed it. It was perfect.
So it was great. But I want to thank Francisco for hosting us down there. Thank you very much. And it was a great tour that we went on. So we flew into Panama City and went down to the Gap with Michael, with Francisco, and then with some of my staff and others. And the first thing that I noticed when we got to the village of Bajo Chiquito, the morning that we took off, we got in Paraguayas, I think is how they pronounce it, isn't it? Paraguas. And we went up the river to the village of Bajo Chiquito. The first thing that I noticed when we got to the village of Bajo Chiquito and we got out of the Paraguas was the smell. And we went in and we met with the village leaders there, as well as having Francisco along with us. And these people talked about how, they bathe a couple times a day in the river. We heard Francisco allude to that earlier. But their village is overrun at this point, and it was not that way before. And you can tell these people are very clean people. The reason that we smelled the stench that we did is because of the unleashing of the migrants that the Biden administration caused with their order on January 20th. And they verified that for us when we sat down and had a good meeting with the local villagers, including the head of the village. They shared the story of how at times they have like 1,000 people a night that will be going through that village. So the village of Bajo Chiquito, right off from the Darien Gap, it is the first place where people will come out of the gap or through the jungle and then continue on down. So there was as many as 1,000 migrants that were going through there a night and just simply overwhelming the village. And you heard from Francisco earlier some of the harm that is being done as a result of all those people that are coming through. And terribly unfortunate. The other thing that I would comment about as we go forward here, and we're going to take some questions, is your government, those of you that are citizens of the United States of America, is basically complicit in the biggest human trafficking or operation that's gone on, I believe, in the history of the world. But there's others that are complicit in it also. And I think they need to be thoroughly investigated, including OIM or IOM, however they go, the Organization for International Migration, which is a United Nations outfit. I think there needs to be a thorough review of what their activities are. And I've also been urging, when I do local news interviews, is that those people who are involved with faith-based organizations, including Catholic Charities, Lutheran Social Services, the Jewish organizations, you need to go back and talk to them and ask them what is going on here. and how they are involved, because they are part of the chain at this point when you do the resettlement. Because I was also very active in talking about what happened at Fort McCoy and the other forts where the Afghan evacuees came through. IOM is right there at this moment working in those forts to resettle people across our country. And I believe that they are heavily incentivized with the amount of money that they make to make this happen. And is it in the interest of the American people that they are doing this? This is a question we need to get to the bottom, of. So, and finally, before I turn it back to Todd here, while this is clearly a humanitarian crisis, when we were in Bajo Chiquito, they talked about babies washing down the river, and just a humanitarian crisis of epic proportions. But for us in Congress, I believe our number one concern should be national security, because it is clear with open borders the way they are, and the Border Patrol shares the stories with us all the time. We heard the story of the couple Yemenis that came in earlier in the country that had terror ties. There are people that have terrorist ties that are coming into our country, and the Biden administration is doing very little, if anything, to stem that flow.